really, I don't know how I'm going to say this without hurting anyone, but the truth is, I don't know. I don't know what happened in Enugu. That's the truth. I'm not, I just dress normally. I'm an adult. I decide what I want to wear. I wear what I feel comfortable in, and some people think they're not comfortable in it. With me wearing what I wore, which is nothing compared to what so many other people wear. So for whatever reason that was for, I don't know, but it didn't hold though.
So let me understand. They tried to suspend you for the way you were dressed on set.
On set.
On your own individual capacity or as part of the role.
It was a movie I was playing. I wore a costume. I don't know, really.
Oh, the costume in a movie?
No, I see. The truth is, the person that said, he saw me wearing what he said he saw me wearing. What he saw me wearing was a costume, but he saw me offset, and he assumed.
He assumed that
that was my dress.
Dress.
Excuse
me. Number one, in the first instance, this person, who is he? No, I'm just trying to ask this because this thing comes up all the time, and I'm wondering about it. One person's word, male. One person comes and says that you were wearing something, and so the entirety of the guild was going to take a decision based on
the
what
person was at the head of the guild, so.
And they used the word seduction.
Yeah, that was showing I used to have hairs on my chest. That it's funny that the hairs were showing, and for that it was how did they put it? Public. I don't know, something about some seduction thing. I don't know.
But then, for me, what I think is, actresses, actors, actually they call themselves actors now, both actors, male and female. Yeah. They have a role to play, because there are a lot of people looking up to them as role models. So they have to portray themselves.
No, the point where what she's just described now.
I'm not so clear about what
she described a costume in a film. If, for example, you are supposed to play the role of...
You're describing the entire guild taking a decision of her costume.
No. I mean, I'm not pushing for a society where people have lost their morals, but there's... Can't be. You cannot do me like that. I don't want to hear this rubbish.
Stand by.
Right. What I want to know, I want to know what the truth is. I've read so many different versions. I don't know what the truth is. So, exactly what happened? Set the record straight.
Which of them?
I don't know which is the truth.
The six,
which is the ban? Which is the
only ban?
The dressing one didn't work. So about this other one, the recent one, really, okay, what happened? I was on this movie set, right? I was shooting. We shot for like a week, overnight consecutively. When you shoot from morning till 4:30 a.m. in the morning, 5 a.m., and you go home and then they expect you to come out as early as 8 o'clock the next day. So I worked like that consecutively for 1 week. I was becoming very ill. And on this day, I think it was the last day of shoot, I had just a scene left. I was shooting till like 3:30, 4 a.m. in the morning. We're recording in First Stack. So I got ill. I was very ill, that night. I had to leave. There was a robbery incident just by where we were recording. They just snatched someone's car. So there was a lot of tension already. I was scared because then I was still living in Maryland. I was thinking of how I was going to drive from First Stack to Maryland at that time of the night. So I said to my colleague that was lodged in a hotel, that's Uche Jumbo, I said to her, okay, I was going to come stay in your room because I can't drive to Maryland because of all the drama that happened that evening. She said, okay. She was actually waiting for me to do this one scene that was left. I said to the PM, I'm sick. Why don't you do this one scene so I can leave? And he goes, no, that he has a schedule. He has to follow the schedule. And what happened to me was not something I could stay. I had to leave, and I left. I went with my friend and I stayed in a hotel room. The next morning I called the director. I said, well, I couldn't stay. The scene that was remaining was a voiceover. I could take it anytime you want me to take it.
Yeah.
You know, something happened, I had to leave. I couldn't stay. It wasn't something I could just come and tell everybody, oh, this is what happened to me.
Was it a feminine thing?
Yeah. You know, so I left. Okay, I told the executive producer. I explained. I even had to explain everything to him. He said it was fine. That since it was just a voiceover, that I could take it, and that there was another job I was going to do for him, that I was going to take the voiceover then for him. I said, okay, it was fine. The production manager had an issue with me on that set. He had an issue with me. He always, in fact, not just me, he always has issues with artists. You know, I mean, this is somebody that came into the industry as an actor. He didn't succeed as an actor.
I was just going to ask that. Was he a failed actor?
He came into the industry as an actor.
Okay.
You know, but it didn't work for him.
I.e., he was a failed actor.
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
so he had to become a production manager. So he has this problem with artists. I'm not just the only one. He has had problems with several artists that I know of. On that particular set, we had issues because he always makes you, he always creates an opportunity for people to have problems. And, you know, I really don't like it when it seems like, you know, someone is trying to intimidate me or trying to make me feel, he has a way of just, I don't know, force things down your throat, you know. Even when you say, okay, you're tired, you need to take a break, it makes it look like you must do it, you know. So I had an issue on that set.
So
And
are you being honest? Are you honest with me saying that you were not being a diva?
No, this is, I think this is the first time I'm giving this story.
Yeah.
And I'm giving it, like, I'm telling the entire story, what happened, you know, which, of course, I've mentioned somebody's name already,
Right.
my colleague that was there, you know, so it's not like I'm not making up a story. Then, okay, yeah, he promised he was going to deal with, because actually, you know, I confronted him over something. So at the end of the day, he said I was feeling too much, and that he was going to deal with me. And then the opportunity presented itself when I left the set.
Right.
So he wrote a petition against me and submitted it to AGN. I left, okay, after that I'd left to shoot in Asaba. So when the information got to me, I was recording in Asaba, and it was days after the meeting was, because they called me for, you know, to face a disciplinary committee.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, a day or two after elections. So I figured I was going to make it to Lagos. I didn't know Benin, you know, after the elections, they had a problem. You know, they had fights, so the roads were blocked and all that. So it was hard for me to get cross over, you know, get to the airport in Benin.
Right.
I had a bit of a problem. So that delayed me, and I missed the flight. And then I couldn't get to Lagos on time. So that way, I couldn't face the disciplinary committee. And then the agent, they just thought that I maybe ignored them, or that you understand. And then they went ahead with the suspension and announced the suspension, you know, wrote suspension letters and all of that.
Why didn't you call them or email them that, just get the message across to them that you couldn't be there, this is what has happened?
The truth is, it's a very funny world we live in. You know, there are certain things I can't just say, you know, but I called. It was just something that was meant to be. Do you understand? It was something that was meant to be, or else it shouldn't have been.
Right. You called. I don't understand how it sounds like a military tribunal to me. I mean, I would have thought that. I mean, at the level of at the level you are as your profession, I think that by now, if somebody wants to do a thing like that, they should be talking to your lawyers. And what is the law? What are the law as regards this kind of thing in the industry? What does the law say? You can't. I don't understand. I'm not a lawyer, but I think I swear by my lawyer. Anything I ask him first, what does the Nigerian law say about this? How far can we take it? Because I will not let anybody walk all over my face. You know, so I don't know. I'm not holding forth for you or anything like that. But I'm just saying,
but when things like this happen,
it just seems like it's not organized properly, and it's open to, people are therefore open to victimization.
Well,
but when things like this happen, what do? You just take the sanction and then you just go home, stay for a year, no work, nothing. You're not trading, no income, or you seek redress. Like for me said.
Well,
it happened before. It happened to RMB, Genevieve.
Yeah.
You know, they banned
and
them
just kept
for
quiet for 1 year.
Apparently.
Well,
why are you so? I don't get it.
Scared, or you know,
it's like one is dealing with a cartel.
Maybe it is actually a
if I'm
cartel.
not mistaken, that is just what it seems to be. You know, I didn't want to make trouble or anything, because it seems like there was already a gang up. Before I knew what was happening, the whole thing was blown out of proportion. So many people came with so many insinuations, and I don't know how it worked, but I was at the end of the day, I was just like, what's going on? I heard things I had never heard all my life. I just woke up one day and there were all sorts of insinuations, things that never happened. So at the end of the day, they were able to have a build-up, to make everybody think, okay, she should be killed. She doesn't deserve to live. Not
So
to